Hello everyone, I hope you're all well. Um, today what I'm going to do is a little bit of slow stitch, and I thought maybe you would like to join in with your own stitching, or just, getting an idea. Now what I've done is I've got this eco dye cloth that I dyed last summer, and I'm going to use this, and this is my backing fabric as well, and this is a really strong calico or canvas. I think it's calico, but just checking. That's the same. Okay, so what I want to do is I'm going to leave the edges raw. Now let me see, how do I want this? Yeah, so I'm going to be folding it like that, and then this will come down like that. Now I'll have a handle, and yeah, so, but I want to leave the edges raw for some reason. Now it's not 100% straight. I really struggled. I've been ripping it and cutting it, and for some reason I just can't get it 100%, but it's okay. It's supposed to be a raw little bag. So that's the plan for today. So what I'm going to do though is I'm just going to do some stitching, pulling it together, and then when I've done that, then I'll decide where I'm going to go from there. So I was thinking I would use, don't know, actually looking, I might use this. Yeah, I'm going to use this just as my, this is what's it called? I can't remember even what it's called. It's used for crochet cotton. Okay, where's my, yeah. So how are you all? I hope you're all doing well. I got back from being away for a short time, well, a week. Just looking for my special needle. That's not it. Well, my grandson was fascinated by this, and I can imagine he's probably pushed my needle down somewhere. Let's try with that one. Right, so yeah, so I'm just going to start. I think I'll go round. Actually, I'm not sure what I'm going to do, if I'm honest. Am I going to go around? Am I going to go across and then keep going across? I think I'll keep going across. So, but there is a risk that things will move, so I do need to be careful about that. So, but it is what it is. I'm just going to try and, keep it all in place. Well, let's pin it, and let's see how that works, because it is going to move. That every time I do something with it, it moves. So yeah, I'm going to pin it. Right, let's start by pinning first. There, and there. So yeah, so I did some foraging, and I put a blog post up on my Ko-fi page. Did a post on my YouTube channel, just explaining that post was there because I did promise that I would do some foraging and some apothecary posts all over there. I would have you know, I chose Ko-fi in order to do things like that, to be honest, so that I could, because I have a love of books, I like to do readings, and poetry and things like that. So that's why I set that page up, for those type of things, for anybody who's interested. So please do pop over there and have a read, because roses are very accessible. So it's about roses, and wild roses are very accessible right now, for those in the UK. I don't know about elsewhere, but right now I'm going right to the edge because I do want this to, you know, I like the frayed edge, but I don't want it to be too frayed, put it that way. So this is going to be a bit of a slow stitch, and when I say slow, I mean slow, because yeah, I'm not going to be going fast. It's going to be slow in every sense of the word. I will try and do a little bit of this type of stitch, running stitch, but you know, I want it to be, I'm just going to take my time and not stress about it. If it is a little bit wonky, I don't mind, but yeah, I'm going to do small stitches and just relax and do some deep breathing. And I should have put a candle on or something. The weather was very sunny when I got up this morning. I got up very, very early. I was up at 4:30. Not intentionally, it's just I woke up and I couldn't get back off to sleep. And so I got up and I watered the plants outside, because there was some promise of rain, but from the last few days there's been a promise of rain and it hasn't rained. So I can see there's been a little bit looking out the window, but it really is a small amount, so my plants need to be watered. So I went out there early, watered them, and then I've just been pottering, and I came to do some work in my craft room, and that's what I'm doing now. I think I'm going to switch the light on. I really struggle in here sometimes to see. I know that it's not so bad for you guys, but for me it's quite dark. Just pop that there. Right, hopefully you can see everything. Yeah, you can. Good, 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 good. So yeah, I had a bit, as I said, I had a bit of a break. I went away. I'm still undecided as to whether to carry on with my YouTube channel, but for several reasons. But for now, I'm carrying on, and we'll see. Maybe my motivation will come back, but I'm struggling with motivation. And it's something that everybody goes through, I'm thinking. I have enjoyed my time on YouTube for the most part, but it was making me anxious, and I've heard other people say those sorts of things. Just about, the main thing is just getting the videos out, being consistent. I don't like it when I do this. And that sort of thing. And then the time, the energy and all of that we put in. Yeah, definitely not straight, but it's okay. I think I'd be straighter if I did some proper running stitch. I'm finding this not very comfortable. It's not my usual needle. Yeah, it's not. I don't know if it's the thread. I don't know if it's the fabric at the back. It's getting it through isn't easy. Right, so as you can see, this is going to take quite some time. So I'm going to have to edit the video because this is just, it's really hard to get through this fabric, this calico. It's just not easy at all. So that's why it's, you know, pulling on my, making my thumb sore. But that's what I want to do, so I'm going to carry on, and you can join me with your own project, whatever it is you're doing. I'll be doing a new journal. Now I have two ideas. One is very much shabby chic, using lots of lace and pretty fabrics because I have a lot and I'm not using them. And the other is a grungy one. So those are my ideas. Which one should I go for? I think probably shabby chic because I've been wanting to do one for a while, and I want to use up my pretty fabrics and papers and things. You know, I want to start using them up. I think if you know, the time comes when I do stop doing YouTube, then I probably won't do as much. I won't need as much of the things that I have, so you know, I could start using them up now. As I said, I don't have plans to leave right away, and I may not at all. You know, I may find that I'm enjoying it again. I did buy some items. So I did go to some antique shops and charity shops when I was down south. Because I used to live in the area where my daughter lives, I know all the places to go, so it's just like really just very familiar to me. So I know where to go and get some really nice things. Having said that, I did bring some lovely things back. Having said it, there wasn't as much as there usually is, so that was interesting. And I noticed that the shops themselves were very, very busy. Now it was half term, so that could, but I didn't see many young people in there and parents. I saw mainly sort of the older age groups in them. So I just found it interesting, and that, you know, things seem to be dwindling. So excuse me. So it could be that, you know, everybody's looking for the same things. Excuse me. The vendors in the antique shops, they don't seem to be turning over very much either in terms of, you know, bringing in new stock. As I've been going, I've noticed the same things, and because I've been away for, you know, a few months, and I go back, I can see the same things on the shelves, just not selling. So, but they're not things that I would necessarily buy. The things that I want to buy, like I said, are just not available. So I don't know. I would love to go to France and travel around, to go to the Bacchantes and you know, just really have a good rummage, and I would love that. I've mentioned it before, I would love it as for group I don't know if there are groups that do that sort of thing, but I would love to do it. If there is a group and that somebody knows of one, please let me know. I mean, I'm not talking about spending a fortune. It's not a holiday as such, you know, and accommodation and things like that. I just want to, you know, do a little tour of the areas that where I can maybe buy some things and have some nice, you know, a nice time, but I'm not talking about luxury accommodation that costs an arm and a leg. You know, just cheap and cheerful, or you know, like a Airbnb type thing. Certainly not hotels. Yeah, I'd love to do that. One of these days. I don't know, there's nobody in who I, you know, in my circle in who wants to do that. So, you know, it would be something I would have to do alone unless, like I say, I felt there was a group to go with. Right, okay, well it's coming along. But, you know, obviously it's going to take some time. I think that what I'm going to do when I'm finished is I'm going to put something on here as well. I mean, I don't have to do a full slow stitch, you know. I could just do something like that and go around the edges. So, and then decorate it. You know, I was thinking of putting some motifs on, doing some embroidery or something. I like it as it is, mind you, but I think instead of doing another row, I think I'm going to start going down this way. Then it's not so boring for you guys. Oops. Yeah, I just don't like this thread. Wish I hadn't started off with it now. But never mind. See if I can speed up a little bit. Anybody who watches me knows that I'm very slow. I'm just not a fast slow stitcher. But having to do, you know, with that pulling, and it's just not comfortable. It's not, you know, pulling it through that calico fabric. Also, let me know what it is you're doing. If you're doing a slow stitch project, I'd love to know what you're doing right now. I struggle with ideas, I have to say, I really do. It's like a frame of mind that I have at the moment. I did want to do some little drawstring pouch bags, but yeah, didn't get round to it. I took all my sewing things away with me, but I didn't once pick them up, so which is unusual for me. I usually sit and do it in the evenings, but didn't do it this time. But that's okay, you know, took a break from it, like I said. So that might be another project that I would do. I think probably I will combine slow stitch in my journal. So maybe do some slow stitch tags, things like that. I do enjoy making tags. It's probably the thing I enjoy most in terms of junk journaling, is making tags. I just love them. And I like, because they're small, and yeah, I enjoy making them. I would just sit and make tags all the time. Right, well, that was good. I managed to get to the end. I'll just do a little end off there. There we go, and cut that. Right, so yeah, I think that's going to look nice. So I'm going to carry on. It does pull it in, but you know, that's part of it. That's part of our slow stitch, isn't it, really? But I think that's going to look really nice. Happy with it so far. Okay, so I will continue, and I will come back when I've stitched around. I'll come back and show you the results. Okay, and then carry on to the next stage. Hi, so I'm back. So I finished sewing a border around the edges. So I've done a set of a row, 3 rows on bottom, top, and also at the sides I've done 1 row, and that's probably enough right now. But what I'm doing is I am thinking I want to, before I sew it up, it's definitely not straight, but I can't worry about that right now. Excuse me. So what I'm thinking is I want to decorate it a little bit. I see that this area here is a little bit plain, and I'd quite like to just put something there just to add something extra. I don't know what yet, but I was just messing about with this, and I thought, well, maybe this might be quite nice, like that. Maybe bring it down a little bit. Thinking about also about a closure, and I did get some buttons out. I'm not sure if I like that, you know. This is some rust dyed fabric. Put that like that, and then that on the top, like that, like that. I don't know. Sorry, I'm just looking. I had a piece of fabric. No, I can't find it. Where would it be? Oh, there it is, right in front of my eyes. Right, so it was this. So what I was thinking with this, it's a little bit bent. So I've got to sort of pull it back into shape if I can. That's going to be hard, but oh well, that's not too bad. See if I can, yeah. So I'm thinking that there, and I'll pull out the edges a little bit. So if I put that there, and then that, and then that on the edge there, maybe something like that. That's not right. Like that, and like that. Sometimes I always struggle with these things. Right, I'm thinking something like that. Now I think that looks nice. I'm not hiding anything in particular. Now I do have to remember that I'm going to put a closure, but yeah, I think I'm going to have that there. Well, what I think I'll do is I'm just going to dab a bit of glue on here where I want this, so that they stay together when I can sew them on that way. And then this, I think I'm going to have that there, so I'll just pop a little bit of glue there. Just pull some of this out. Have a nice, try and get it more frayed than it is. And I think I'm going to put that somewhere like that. How about that then? And then I might do something on top of that, but at the moment that's how it's going to look. So I'm going to pin that on. Like that. So before I stitch the sides up, because it's a very simple pouch bag, I'm just wondering, I think I'm going to use this cotton thread, just, you know, ordinary sewing thread. I mean, I do quite like a rustic lace like that. It's quite nice. I might add that on at the end. I don't know. I'll have a think. That maybe a snippet of it or something. We'll see. Oh yes, and I found this. And I think that goes really well. Almost too well. It's almost perfect. Well, it is perfect, but right, I'm going to put my light back on. Oh, I'm going to have a sip of tea because I left that with the tea. And it's the afternoon now. And oops. And I made another one. I'm going to try not to go through all the way to the other side. I don't know if it matters or not really. Probably not. Oh, this is going to be hard. This is going to be tough. Because it was tough enough going through. Let's see. All right, now, like I said, I'm going to do this. So it's going to be stab stitch all the way around, basically, because I'm going to leave the edges raw, you know, in keeping with the theme of raw edges. I might add a little bit of colour to this as well, you know, a sort of a complementary colour. Now, I was looking at a photograph of the other pouch that I did, and it's actually green and purple. And when I pulled out my thread to do this, I pulled out, by accident, I pulled out purple thread, and I thought, wow, that really goes well. Really, really goes well. Really looks fabulous with it. And my initial thought was, no, I'm definitely not putting purple on here, but it does look good, you know. So would it be, why am I against the idea of putting purple on here? Well, I think it's because, you know, you do see purple flowers, but generally in, you know, when I'm thinking about wilds, well, yeah, we do see purple. We do see purple flowers. In fact, I posted an image on a sort of a story about, well, not a story, but just some information about a salvia, because while I was out foraging recently, I came across a salvia and I couldn't identify which one it was. and it was a lone plant. There weren't any other around it. So, and I was trying to identify it, couldn't identify it because they all look very, very similar. Well, not all of them, but a few of them. So there's the woodland salvia or sage, and then there's the meadow sage, and then there's other plants, salvias, that look very similar. So I don't know what it was. I landed on woodland sage, so I've left it at that. But I have explained that I actually don't know, but looks like it to me, based on what I could see. And then I talked a little bit about, the maybe uses of salvia and sage in a health benefit way, and and that was purple. That was a long-winded way to get around to talking about. So it was purple anyway, and a lovely deep purple as well. So yeah, in nature we have purple and green together, and they work as complementary colours. Right. Let's see. I know I'm going very slow, and it may be frustrating to some of you, and I apologise. No, I don't apologise. I'm not apologising. Slow stitch. Am I apologising for slow stitch? If we're going slow with slow stitch, that doesn't make sense. I'm sure that other people will be much quicker, but I'm slow. I'm authentic. I'm authentically slow stitcher. I love, as you know, I love saw stitching. It's one of my favourite things to do. I just struggle with ideas. I need to make a peg bag. And I looked at different, I was thinking, well, I want to do something a bit different than the usual sort of one that hangs by a clothes hanger type of bag. Right, now I've come to this section here. What do I do? Because I'm going to have to do a different stitch, I think. So I'm going to have to go in here and... No, this is going to be interesting. I'm going to do a sort of overcast type stitch. Oh, what is wrong with me? I can't see. That's what's wrong with me. I can't see a thing. Because I want to catch this, because I don't want it, sort of hanging too far over. I don't want it to fray any more than it already is what I'm trying to say. What was I saying? Talking rubbish. Yeah, I've got a bit of a rhythm going now. Bit wonky. A little bit wonky. I can't remember what I was saying, but probably wasn't important if I can't remember it. Actually, to be honest with you, I can't remember much. But yes, going back to the salvia thing, because it just occurred to me in terms of memory. Am I thinking of the right thing here? So I think I read there are a number of uses for sage. Let's call it sage instead of salvia, because I don't want to confuse. But, you know, salvias are sages and sages are salvias. So they're from the same family. So I read that, I'm just going to, you know, there are a number of health benefits to sage. And one of them, and I was surprised to read this, is helping with memory loss. So there are some studies and trials and things to do with looking at how sage helps with memory loss. So it helps with brain function, and obviously they've done, you know, studies on this, otherwise it wouldn't be out there. I try not to read you know, obscure information when it comes to herbal remedies and things like that, or herbalism. Always seek advice if you're unsure, and you know, you don't go by somebody's obscure post on Facebook or some other social media. Always check and double check, especially when it comes to giving our family, children, you know, medicines that are powerful, herbal medicines. But like I say, I think lay people should have access to knowledge and to be able to help ourselves. So I'm all for that, and it's why I've learned to identify and find out myself. I've always been interested in herbs. I had a herb garden at the age of 20, at the age of 20. That was my first herb garden, and I've grown herbs ever since, and used herbs in different ways. So just always been fascinated. And interested in wild plants and botany and that sort of thing. It's just one of those things. We all have different interests, and that was mine from being very young. Always had this desire to learn about plants, and I learn every day, you know, about learn new information every day about plants. And spring and summer is the time when I'm more active, because, you know, there are more plants readily available in, you know, popping up, and in different areas you'll find different plants that, you know, more abundantly. And I like learning about the folklore as well, and the history behind them. It's always fascinating to me. That could make a little pocket in there, look. No, it couldn't, because I've stitched it up, you silly Billy. Okay, so I will end off here, and I will just sew that little bit on where I've gone on here. I mean, I could let me think. Yeah, no, I was going to say I could leave it, but I don't just for effect, but I don't think it's probably a good idea. Okay. Trying to think if there's anything else. Why? Oh yes, I was talking about colours in nature. And I posted about some oak galls that I found. There were lots when I did some walking when I was down south. I came across, well, I walked some fields and meadows and some woods, and there was woodland close by these meadows. They were really stunning. I had no idea they were there either, so it was good to find somewhere new. Anyway, there were lots of oak trees around, and there were lots of new, sapling, not quite, I don't know whether you would call them saplings at the age they were, but they were fairly young trees. And on them, a lot of them had these oak galls, which are tiny growth, well, not tiny, but growths on an oak tree, on oak branches generally. And how am I going to do it? I think I'm going to do it just this type of stitch. I'm not going to try and sew it a different way. So yeah, so they're little brown balls generally when they're hardened off. So the little wasp lays its egg on the tree, on the branch, and then it creates a protective shell around the larvae called an oak gall wasp or a gall wasp, and as it matures, the shell casing hardens. It looks like a knot, and you get different galls. There's sort of apple galls, and these are called marble galls, the ones that I'm talking about. And the ones that I could readily see initially were the marble galls. So they're round, and what happens is the little wasp eventually, once it becomes mature, once the larva becomes mature into a wasp, it finds its way out of the shell, or makes its way out. Don't ask me how, but it bores a little hole in the shell, and it makes its way out and then flies off, and so it leaves this hardened brown shell on the branch, sometimes in clusters. So these marble ones generally are in clusters of a few, and then so they're left on the tree, and over centuries, the last centuries, these galls were collected, and they were ground down. They were mixed with iron solution, and then made into ink, and ink for writing documents and things like that. So that's what I was collecting. Now you can also use these galls to dye fabrics. So I'm going to be using a mordant with them, and I'm going to dye some fabrics with these oak galls. So I have crushed them before to make an ink, not a long time ago, it would have been a few years though, and I think I used the ink in drawings or something, can't remember, but yeah. So that's, I found some, I brought them home with me, and I will be doing that so I'll be crushing them down into powder, using a pestle and mortar or something that I can use to do that, and then I will be using them, and I promise you that I will document the process either on video or by using photographs, and you will see the outcome. So if you're interested, I like that. I think that's quite just adds a little bit of interest there. And as I say, I do think that purple would look quite nice on there now. Did I put my threads away? And I think I did. Let's have a look. So I've got 3 colours here, at least 3 colours here. So I've got this one, this darker one, which I think I'm going to go for. I do quite like that, but it's very bright. And then I've got this pale one, which I also like, but it's a bit dull. It does go better with this, mind you. I'm just wondering whether to do some stitching on there with purple. Let's just see. Oh. Yeah, so if you have done any have you processed oat galls, let me know, or let us know in the comments. It'd be good to know. And what was your experience? Generally, I mean, you know, as I say, I've used them in the past for doing some sketching. I think I'm going to go with that rather than the dark. I think it's possibly a little bit too dark, although I can't tell now looking at them. My eyes. Yeah, I'm going to go with this one. I'm going to just do a row of stitches. I'm not going to do anything fancy. Just a row of stitches to brighten the just to contrast the green and the cream and the beige and the whatever. Yeah. Is that 2 or 3 strands? Hard. I think it's 2. Was it 1? It's 1. No, can't be right. Surely not. That's thick enough. I'm not going to do any more than that. Oh no, have I lost my needle? Come on. There it is. Now if you know me, you'll know that I'll probably be doing the most basic of stitching on here. Nothing fancy. Well, I'm tempted to do some flowers, but I was just wondering whether to do some purple in here. Let's see. And I'm just going to do rows of stitching. I'm not going to do anything fancy. Yeah, it's quite thick to get through, so I might have to just, if I do a little back stitch there, I want them to be quite close together, so I'm going to do a back stitch and then just do stab stitch rather than try to do a running stitch along here. But I think this purple will go well. It's not as bright and, you know, garish as one you might think. Oh, I've gone a bit skewish there. So yeah, if you're interested in this subject of the apothecary and all of the herbs and what have you, and, you know, wild plants, then, you know, do keep an eye out on my Ko-fi page for more posts, because I will actually be making a post about the galls, and I'll put some photographs on there as well, and you can have a look. There are some apple galls, but they weren't fully ripened, so didn't harvest them. I did harvest one, it was ripe, so that's not true. I did harvest one, and the rest weren't quite matured, so I left them for another day, because they will still be there when I go back in a month or so time. So as I was saying, you know, go over and have a look. I've got other posts on there, some that you might recognise from, you know, from some of the videos that I've done on my YouTube channel. And then there's others, like sort of blog type posts with images or a video as well. So just, I can't, you know, I can't really do information about the apothecary on this channel with everything else that's going on. It's just too much, and I don't think there will be some people who will not appreciate that. And I don't want to confuse things any more than they, you know, than necessary, because, you know, I'm doing slow stitch and I'm doing crafting and I'm doing all sorts of things. Really like that. It's very subtle though, because I'm wondering whether to, because, you know, it doesn't stand out hugely. I'm going to go across, come down a little bit, and I'm going to go across again. Whoops. So I think I mentioned earlier on that I bought some things that I will show in the next video. I'll do a show and tell tomorrow or something, depending when this video goes out. It's not going to go out today. It's Sunday today. It's definitely not going out Sunday. I'm just, you know, this is going to take a while to edit down to something that people will watch, a time scale that people will watch. I mean, I prefer not to rush and, you know, have it too disjointed. I do prefer to do it in a couple of stages. So I might just do, once I finish doing this, I might just leave it here for today and then come back and finish off, you know. I hopefully will have made up my mind about, you know, exactly how I'm going to do it, whether I'm going to put a handle on. I will definitely put a closure on, but I'm not sure. I looked at some buttons and I found a nice one, so I will show you that. I was looking for a wooden one, or a wooden, like a piece of wooden stick that I would like to use on this, to be honest, but I might have another look, because I just mainly looked at buttons, so it'd be nice if I could find a stick that I could use as a closure. I'm loving this purple though. Oh, have a sip of tea if that's all right. Yeah, I did find some nice books recently. You know, vintage books. That I will be using. Okay, there we go. So I will carry on with doing that, and I will show you when it's finished. I feel like I want something else there, but maybe not. Okay, I'll carry on anyway. I'm going to leave it here. You can sort of get the picture, but I'm going to leave it here for this video because I'll be here all day, and you know, it'd be nice to come back and do some more work on it. And I want to make more decisions, you know, about maybe decorating it. I don't want to sew up the sides until I've decorated it, is what I'm trying to say. So I want to decide more about decoration. So there we go. So I will leave it here, and I will do a second video very soon, so you don't have to wait too long. I hope you enjoyed this. I think it's looking quite nice. Maybe maybe do a little bit, some circles or something. I do like doing circles. This would be nice, maybe with a purple circle. Who knows? So there you go. I will leave it here. I hope you have a lovely evening or afternoon or morning, whatever you see this video, and take care, everyone.